Good evening, everyone. And thanks to all of you, and thanks to the rain god that today there was no rain. And I was really very nervous when I was seeing that the day before yesterday, the kind of rain that had in Mumbai, and I was really very skeptical that what will happen in our event day. So I'll take a thread from what Yves has already been said together. That's what is happening in the construction industry and what Nemetschek India can do in the coming days. So to start with, this is what Yves has talked about it, the digitalizations. And this is not new, this is not something great that we are talking about it. Every one of us is already aware of it, that the construction industry is still lag behind, maybe around more than 20 years. That's what the other industry, maybe the mechanical and automobile industry has been. Now, how this has been happening, why we are not able to progress the way that it should be, why we are not able to make a leapfrog onto the digitalization adoption in the construction industry. What I see this is the major challenge for this is when we ask the customers that, hey, are you using any digital technology? More specifically, are you a user of BIM solution or a BIM workflow process? People raise their hands and said, yes, we are following it, we are implementing it. But then when I interacted, I have been in 25 years into the same industry. And when I interacted with them, what I realized that people are using some CAD drafting tool or maybe a 3D modeling tool. That modeling tool could be used for the architect. The same modeling tool then used by the structural and by the electrical and the mechanical, the same drafting tool. And when they said, okay, I'm going to use my architectural part of it, I'm going to send it to the structural engineers. The structural engineers end up just taking the drawing and they build up the model either in STAAD or ETAP. So there is already a double effect on that. Then when the engineers finish the job, they send it to the detail engineering. The detail engineers gets the engineers produce this drawing or a design drawing. And they again create the model in some other authoring tool. How that it can make a kind of a BIM workflow process. So the major reason behind, even though we say that we are a BIM user, but we are actually working in the silos. The problem here, mainly because of the non-availability of a dedicated solution for each of the segment. How can it be possible an architect's demand for a BIM authoring tool will be the same what the structural engineers' requirements are? Architects, how many of architects here? Can you raise your hand, please? I believe all of you will agree that architects are more creative. Their requirements are more different than any engineers. And the engineer's requirement will be different than the contractor or the construction company. So they need a different solution. But can they integrate with each other? What Yves has already talked about it, the integration and open BIM. And this is where we found that there's a lag behind and we need to change this system. If the construction industry needs to go the more advanced digital way, that possibly that we need to make sure that we are moving from 2D workflow systems to a BIM workflow system. We move from 2D to 3D, because there is a combination I have seen that the people still using a 3D modeling tool and they end up with editing in the drawing and do it in the 2D part of it. So that's the real problem. And these things needs to seep into a BIM standard-based workflow. Then the third one, which is the working in silos, what I was just talking about it. Then architects are working into the silos, into their own world. The structural engineers are working into their own world. The data integration is not happening. Either there is a data loss when you are sending it, the model from one application to the another application, or there is no coordination at all. That's the main problem that we are not able to adopt a better technology. The last part of it, rework. Most of you who are in the construction industry or the engineering industry, they will all agree that there has to be rework because what we start, what we plan, it is not going to be the end at the same way. There are going to be some changes in between as the project progresses. Now, how are we going to do this rework? Are we going to rework manually on the same BIM authoring tool, or can we move into the cloud-based, on-the-fly kind of a change? So that's something, these are the areas where we need to work it out, and that's present the Nemetschek solution. So in that Nemetschek space, what we are describing in India, we are dividing into the market into three spaces: conceptual, design, and execution. We believe that three of the segments' needs are completely different. but how we are going to make sure what I have just addressed a few seconds back, that the coordination and collaboration. And this is where we are mapping all our solutions together into the entire BIM lifecycle part of it. This is where the benefits of Nemetschek, that in under one umbrella, you are going to get from a concept stage of an architect to an end execution constructions requirement. And then the bottom line, the horizontal part is the digital twin, what Yves has already been spoken about it. Let's take a couple of our brands. Yves has talked about it, around 14 brands that we own. Is in India, are we going to take everything together? The answer is no. What we are doing it right now in the first stage is 6 of our brands coming to in India. We are going to work with the Indian AECO sectors with these 6 brands, and then possibly gradually we're going to increase these into our portfolio. The first stage of our solution is the Vectorworks. Some of you might have already been heard about it, the Vectorworks. I saw somebody who has been user of the Vectorworks here present. This is the one of the best solution available in the world when it comes to the kind of addressing the architect's need. When it is talking about the concept stage to the landscape, to the interior, the architectural designs part of it, this solution gives everything. Many of you may say that, okay, I am using some sketching tools for my architectural need. And they may also say that, okay, this is not a complete architectural solution. So why then you are using a sketching tool? Just because it's easy to use? So the answer is that you need to choose a solution where in the concept stage, you will be able to get exactly your own dimensions, what's the dimension it is doing. When you are doing it, your landscape, you will be able to get the entire details of the 3D of the landscape part of it. You are talking about it and thinking about it, the live rendering process, the beauty of Vectorworks will give you the kind of a rendering part of it. Then if you look at from the top to the bottom, the same project starting from the concept stage to an actual end stage, that's the Vectorworks offering to this architectural community. So what we say that even in the architects, they need the interior design. So in Vectorworks, you have an extensive library of the interior designs material. So you'll be able to easily pull in from the Vectorworks, and you will be able to address to your creative interior design within Vectorworks. So what in the nutshell Vectorworks is offering, starting from the concept stage to a design, architectural design part of it, to the drawing production, to the ultimate rendering. Everything comes under one umbrella from Vectorworks. So that's the first set of our architectural solution. Let's move on to the another architectural solutions. Many of you might be already heard about the name ArchiCAD. So some of you are already user of it. This solution, and this is the building that I'm talking about, is in a France building. And this solution is a kind of a BIM authoring tool made for the architect itself. So what it does, it gives you a kind of flexibility that when you are designing, before you actually put in, this is design option which give you a simulation that what designs is actually make your most cost effective, most beautification part within the architectural design part of it. The another thing, which is the layer control. Now, if you see that whatever the BIM authoring tool or 3D tool that you are using it, if you combine this all together, you will not find that it's been layer control there itself. So in our ArchiCAD solutions, we get that. Imagine a situation that when you have an entire project, you have an architectural model, you have a structural model, you have an electrical model, and then this federated model is going to work together, and you are working in collaboration. You are sending this model one to the another. Whichever the 3D tools that you are using it, think about that direction and see that whether it is possible. Is the model is going to really going to work? Here in ArchiCAD, what will happen, it's a federated model, it's a differentiator. You can club together, you can differentiate, and you can straight away taking this whichever the model you want to use it. The last piece which comes from this is the kind of an integration. Whether you wanted to integrate on any platform, whether it's a doc, Excel file, the ArchiCAD is providing these options to our architect community. The artificial intelligence, the Yves has already been touched upon it. So the beauty of this integration of artificial intelligence within ArchiCAD is that when you start a project, the AI will give you what could be the different options that you can have. And then based on that, you will be able to finish the projects before time. So these are very creative architectural solutions that we are offering. The next comes, which already Yves has touched upon, is the RISA, which is the most advanced structural analysis and design software. Many of you are using some of the structural analysis and design software, but here it is, the integration part, which we talked about in Archicad. Imagine the situations that an architect has finished his project or maybe half part of his done, and then he needs to integrate with a structural engineer. So the RISA, which is a structural analysis design software, has a direct integration from Archicad itself. That means you will be able to pull the data from Archicad, go into the RISA, check your analysis and design. So what the structural engineers, if any of you are the structural engineers present here, they will agree with me that the structural engineers requirements are node-to-node analytical model. And that node-to-node analytical model you will be getting directly from our integrated solution. So the RISA, we have already integrated our India-specific codes. We can see that all those IS 800-456 are already been included. So that means you are able to check your structural steel or a concrete member from using the RISA solution. The next part of our offering is ALLPLAN. Many of you might have already heard about it, SDS2, but many of you may be not knowing that SDS2 is now a part of ALLPLAN brand. So let's start with an ALLPLAN. How many of you are involved in infrastructure projects? Could you please raise your hand? There's a lot many people are in the infrastructure projects. Now you can see what ALLPLAN can do. From your bidding stage, you will be able to use ALLPLAN. From that to complex 3D modeling. From there, you can have a visual scripting. From there to the detail, automatic rebar detail placement within ALLPLAN itself. Then from there, you can go ahead and making it automated precast design and the detailing. So the same solutions which then offer you infrastructure projects mainly in the bridges. Some of customers may say, okay, I'm using solutions like Midas, and we say that, okay, continue to use Midas, but also you can use ALLPLAN because we have an integration from Midas and ALLPLAN itself. So you continue to use Midas for your analysis and design part of it, but you get the data from there and you can use ALLPLAN for 3D beam modeling part of it. The next goes the efficient formwork. Look at that is the challenge. How many of the solutions, 3D solutions that you may have or you might have used for this formwork? ALLPLAN gives you the complete advantage for this. Highly automated fabrication process, site planning. The same software will also help you for the site planning. And last but not the least is the model-based scheduling. So when you have everything together and you wanted to collaborate with your teammates, we want to collaborate with your client, you can use a Beam Plus, which is a complementary solution. It's a cloud-based solution which allows the data transfer from one company to the another company, from one team to the another team. Let's move to the another stage. From ALLPLAN, we now move to the SDS2. I see some of the people who are attending here as SDS2 user. The structural detail solution, detailing. Some of you who are using the detailing business, detail engineering business, they might be using some of the popular software. But when we do a market survey and we got a feedback from the customer saying that, hey, I am into the structural steel detailing industry. I have nothing to do with the concrete, but the solution that I'm getting is a combination. I've been forced to use a solution which is also with the concrete. Why that is so? We make this happen that, okay, in the SDS2, it's a completely steel, and in ALLPLAN, it is completely concrete. You choose what your job requirements are. So SDS2, you can start with the connection design. Your popular tool probably will not have a connection design. So SDS2 is not only giving all the international connection design, but it also integrated with the Indian connection design codes. So you will be able to start, those who are in engineering company, those who are only involved with engineering, so they need the connection designs to be also frozen, and then they pass on to the detail engineering. So in SDS2, the biggest advantage is the connection design, optimization fabrication, auto piece marking, hyperlinking drawings, better quality of the export of the drawing. You don't need that much of time to spend for drawing editing. When you are using SDS2, you do not need that. The second part of it, the integrating and parameters within the software itself, multi-users, modeling, and provision of drafting licenses. This is a very practical issue because I'm coming from the same industry. Many of our previous customers, they have talked about it that, hey, I'm spending huge amount of time for my drawing editing, but I do not have right now any tools which can allow me only for the drafting. I need to spend huge amount of money for the entire solution. Here in SDS2, we are giving this option. You want a couple of licenses for your drafting, you will be able to get it within SDS2 itself. Then you have can handle complex geometries and cloud-based collaboration. So you wanted to collaborate with your US customer, Europe customer, Indian customers, you will be able to collaborate using SDS2. Next is the one which is Solibri. Many of you are familiar with the class detection, right? And when you say, okay, are you using class detection? Yes, we are doing it. But class detection is just a piece of a BIM workflow process. You need know more than that. How about that you have an architectural company who is giving you an architectural model, somebody is giving you a structural model, somebody is giving you a mechanical part of it, and then you as a construction company, you wanted to integrate all together. Is it the only class is required? What about your rule-based checking? What about your role-based checking? What about your municipality rules that is being placed for the project and you wanted to set that whether your combined model has all those criteria fulfilled or not? So this is where the Solibri comes in, and it gives you much more beyond to the class detection. It gives you the role-based and the rule-based checking. For example, if you can see this is the fire exit window door, and the software automatically detects that this is not possible. So even though there is no classing, but you can find it out with a role-based and a rule-based checking from Solibri that these are the kind of mistakes. How many of you are user of Bluebeam here? Can you raise your hand? Okay. How many of you knew that Bluebeam is coming from Nemetschek? Okay, less hands. That's exactly what the purpose Yves has said, that okay, this is the need of Nemetschek to come into India, and the Bluebeam is one of our very popular brand. Those who are not user of Bluebeam yet, they can have a look at that what is the requirement, multi-native formats. In your projects, you have a many multi-native formats kind of documentation. How can we be combined together? So this is the PDF document creation. Inconsistency into the process of drawing checking. So in the most of the cases, end of the day, the project managers spend time on drawing checking. How about an automized systems can help you to check the drawing automatically. So that's where the Bluebeam comes in, PDF marking, PDF measurement. Within that, you will be able to measure and you will be able to mark itself within the Bluebeam. Second part is the PDF batch processing. Batch-wise, you will be able to process. The last part, which is the collaboration. You have multiple drawings, you have multiple projects. How you're going to have a kind of a collaboration things where you're centralized, you can store it. So that's the Bluebeam offering, is the Bluebeam Studio Cloud, through which you will be able to do that. AI, already Yves has talked about it. Imagine the time going to spend by your team when you're going to review a two different revision version of the drawing. Imagine that, can AI play a role to reduce those time? And this is how this auto-alignment and the review of the drawings can possible within Bluebeam itself. The next step of the AI implementation, already Yves talked about it, it's coming up in the next coming versions, are automatic title blocking and 3D drawing. So these are solutions which is going to help the construction industry, AEC industry, to adapt the digitalization. The next part you can see, we have talked about it, all those 6 brands. Then how then we are going to talk as in one integrated platform. And then you can see that from start, the concept stage, to the schematic, to the structural design, to the detail engineering, to the CDE platform, we are combining these, all the 6 brands that we are taking right now to the India market, and these are going to be integrated approach. So you will be able to use this as an integrated platform. So now we have talked about it. Nemetschek is now in India. Yves has made this happen. What else? What's the difference, the Nemetschek India? Are we going to do or act the same way what any of our contemporary companies are doing? Possible answer is no. We will be a differentiator into the India market. We might be a little late to come into India, but our differentiated approach will be completely different. We will be the customer-centric. How we will be customer-centric? India is a cost-sensitive market. We all know about it. India, the availability of the technology solutions that comes in based on the market survey that we have done, it indicates that some companies are offering some solution as a bundle, but which comes with a many solution together, which they have never used. You wanted to use a 3D modeling tool, and you get a CAD platform, you get a package. Under the package, there are 16 to 17 products already included. Have you even opened that? You only opened those which is your 3D modeling. Why that is something which is going to be pushed? You wanted a structural steel detailing solution, or you wanted a concrete detailing. You buy a solution which has been forced to get into those combination part of it. Why that is so? Why cannot be we customer-centric? What the customer need? Why cannot offer you what is exactly your project's needs are? And this is where the differentiator, the Nemetschek in India is going to do. So what we are doing it, we are dividing the market into 3 segments. This first segment's name is Conceptualize. It is purely for the architects community. The second is the Design, which is for the design companies, those who are involved in the design. And the third one, which is the Execution, which is the EPC companies, the contractor companies. So we are first dividing the 3 sectors, 3 segments, so that we can segment-wise, we can make our approach. We cannot make an approach a universal for everything applicable for all, because we believe that the architect's requirements are different, engineers' requirements are different, EPC or contractor companies' requirements are different. So that's the first thing that we are doing, that we are dividing the India market into 3 segments. Then what we are doing is we are introducing a package system. The packaging, which is basically a bundling of the products. So within that architectural segment, which is the conceptual segment, we are putting 4 different brands, 4 different packaging. You can see that starting with the 2 brands combining together, coming to a multi-products brands together. We are not putting everything basket together and say that, hey, this is you want to buy. You need only a 4 to 5 resources you have. Your requirement is very small, very simple, so you can choose as per your requirement. So that's how we are combining into our different products and bundling together under the Nemetschek umbrella. The same way, in the design segments, we are dividing giving into 4 different packages, and the packages concept remain the same. So you have requirement of only analysis and design and a drawing checking. Why you need another solutions to be pushed in there? You can choose RISA and Bluebeam. Your solution, your problem is solved. But in coming days, you want to expansion of your business. You wanted to go into more of a breathe sectors. You want to go into a tunnels projects. You want to go into a concrete detailing. You can then upgrade yourself to a second package, which is with an ALLPLAN. That's the gradually way of addressing the customer's need. The similar way in the execution segment, which is more of a contractor and EPC companies, we are also giving these bundles and the packages for their requirement. So in short, this is what our approach going to be differentiated into the India market, that we are not putting everything together. We are not pushing. We are not forcing customers to buy our solution. We are asking customer, what you need, what is your project need, and accordingly, we are offering this solution. With this note, I thank you very much for attending. Those who are joining us from the live streaming, hello to all of them. Those who have able to join with us, I thank you very much for your time and listening to me. Thank you very much.